welcome everybody. We're here with Brian Sykora, 2002 graduate. He was a part of the 10-year span from 2000 to 2010 where Jefferson made 5 of 10 state tournament appearances. So Brian, I'm going to bring up some words and I want you to comment on them.
Great.
As you as a player. First one being brash.
Brash, with a sense of attitude, just taking the court with a chip on the shoulder and not taking any crap from anybody.
Physical.
Again, had to be on the court every single time I played, had to be physical, tough, tenacious, and being a little undersized was a good benefit for me.
And I still bring up the comment to our players on how you were playing against Spencer Tullochson, and you got a displacement foul moving him out of the lane at one time when he was probably about 30, 40 pounds heavier than you. Emotional.
Yeah, wore my emotions on the sleeve, really played hard every single night, and sometimes it got the better of me, but I think it was an advantage.
Tenacious.
Again, being tenacious, just getting after it, ready to play every game in preparation, and just having a good foot forward.
Finally, my favorite one, nasty.
Nasty. Again, right there with tenacious and brash, having to be a little bit ruffle a couple people's feathers and just get under people's skin. I think the mental game of it was as much as the physical.
Okay, go through some stats of your first 9th grader in the history of Jefferson basketball to be brought up.
I still remember the day at football practice when Coach Evans came out and asked me to try out for varsity, and I was playing sophomore football my freshman year, and to this day I'm still taken aback by it and very honored and pleased to be chosen as such a small group of people to be able to play varsity basketball as a freshman at Jefferson. It's a big deal.
And we were not thin at that time. No. We had a lot of depth and a lot of talent, so that's quite a compliment on your ability. Let's see here. One of 2 players to play in 3 consecutive state tournaments. Do you know who the other one was?
I would say maybe Lynch.
Yep, Kevin Lynch.
Sounds about right. It should have been 4 state tournaments in a row.
I was going to say that too, yeah.
We lost to Hopkins my freshman year in the state or the regional finals, and that one still stung. I remember Jeff Cutterly had a heck of a game, really put us on his back then, and it would have been really cool to go to 4, but 3 was quite a feat as well.
3rd all-time leading scorer, and at one time you were the all-time leading scorer.
Yeah, that's quite an accomplishment. I know when I finished, I just squeaked out the record, I think by like a bucket. Thank goodness we got to the state championship game that year. But no, just a long, illustrious list of players that have come through here, and to be, spoken about in that same breath is quite an accomplishment.
Jeff's dad, Jack, had this quote about you. He said, if we ever needed a big bucket, a big board, a loose ball, a play to be made, Brian would get it.
Wow. Yeah. Again, it's those little plays, those small things. Everyone likes to see the spectacular layup or dunk or, get the 3-point shot or the and one, but it's the loose balls, it's the 50-50 balls, it's getting your knees dirty, getting on the floor that I think really makes the difference whether you win or you lose a game.
I think we're going to have you speak to our team this year.
Would love to.
Tell us about what you did after high school.
After high school, yep, I went right to the U and I played football. It was a great experience, loved doing it, but ultimately, in my heart of hearts, I just missed basketball too much. It was a true passion of mine. I think a lot of my friends and family, when I chose to go to the U on a football scholarship, they were kind of thinking to themselves, well, you love basketball so much. That's, a little bit different than in the direction that we thought you would go. Again, a great experience to be at the U, hometown, playing football. My older brother went there to follow in his footsteps, but ultimately I knew that basketball was something that I wanted to do to at least allow me to finish school and pay for my education, and then took some steps to go out to Phoenix, play junior college, and then wound up at UMD up in Duluth playing basketball.
With a former teammate.
With a former teammate, John Vaudreuil, which was such a treat in and of itself. When I was a senior here, he was a sophomore. Roles were reversed a little bit. My first year up there, Jordan Nunes was there from EP. Ryan Meisner was there from Osseo. And Vody had gotten hurt during a summer basketball tournament that we were playing in, and he tore his knee. If he had not gotten hurt that summer, I think we would have been a very, very tough out in the Division II ranks and levels that year. But nonetheless, had a great time up there and really enjoyed it.
Cool. Okay, some of themes that we have.
Sure.
I want to go through these words with you and have you comment on them as our backbone of our Jefferson program. Preparation.
One of the things that must be taken, obviously, in the classroom, but from any athletic standpoint, you got to know who you're playing, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and if you don't have good coaches that are helping you prepare, a good support system to really put you in a good place to succeed, preparation is very tough without it.
Hard work.
Again, foundational. It's something that was ingrained in me at a very young age. You put in the hard work and you get the results that you put in.
Winning.
Something I came accustomed to here. It was something that, when we played basketball, we knew that we were the favorite, and winning was to be expected. Not, we hoped to win. We knew that we were going to win, and if we got knocked off or we got beat, it was an upset.
Aura. When you walked into a facility, did the opponents feel an aura of the Jefferson team coming into play?
1,000%. It was a lot of fun to be very highly ranked throughout my high school career, and to be within, top 1 or 2 or within the top 5 year in, year out. Teams knew that they were getting a tough battle and a tough test every night, whether it was here on this court or if we were playing on the road. Teams, they feared us.
Tradition.
Something that is very, very important to the program, something that's very, very important to me, being able to come back and, speak on, my time playing Jefferson basketball, which molded and shaped me into who I am today, is very, very important, and I'm proud to be a part of this tradition.
So with the tradition, when you were coming in and playing, were you aware of these guys or any of the state championships? Was that something that you were aware of, or were you guys just kind of paving your own way?
I was. I remember sitting over here in 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, watching Doug Hoffert, watching Steve Hoffert.
Did you watch Mike Carr?
Watched Mike and Carr, watched Mike Spencer, right? And that was a lot of fun. And growing up, playing traveling basketball and getting into that, and having a team together to really play at the high school level was something I think was pretty special. So
traveling basketball, playing for Mr. King, why don't you briefly tell us about growing up and playing for Mr. King and playing with Scott?
Yeah, it was really kind of how, I learned the game, playing traveling basketball, getting a chance to play on the weekends. We'd practice a couple nights a week and we'd play on the weekends, and I remember going through middle school, and that was always the most fun time of the year, even when football season got done in the fall, basketball season started, and it was just so much fun being able to have friends that you played with growing up, having good coaches that were really invested in our development, that just weren't there just to be a stand-in coach or a stand-in dad. They really taught us how to play, which I think, again, helped the success that I had throughout my career.
Okay, we'll move to 9th grade now, and we already mentioned you're called up to varsity. And we'll just go into the playoffs of that season. We played Eden Prairie here and upset them. Mm-hmm. And then we get number 1 in the state, Burnsville. Mm-hmm. And we had a phenomenal game. You mentioned Jeff Cutterly, Nick Zilka, the whole crew. Just had a tremendous game, turning around a big loss we had down there. We beat them pretty good.
Yep.
And then we get Hopkins. And you're not allowed to play.
Right.
And I'm thinking, what is Brian thinking about watching this? I'm sure you're jumping out of your shoes trying to get on the floor, but what was going through your mind? What did you learn from that experience?
A lot. That was probably the most challenging time of my, you could say, young adolescence. Having, gone through an issue and correcting it and knowing that it was wrong, but yet being able to, or being penalized to step away from the team and not being able to play and contribute, because they counted on me. Now, it wasn't a huge major role. I wasn't starting and logging, 25 minutes a game. However, role player, big body, someone that could give some of the other main focus players a rest or a blow or just a little breather, could have made a difference. In hindsight, I like to think so, but we'll really never know, but that was a very difficult time, and definitely learned to sit with the right people at lunch.
So we move on to your sophomore year. You're the 7th, 8th man in the rotation there. Most talented team we've had in the Coach Jeff Evans era by far.
I would agree.
I mean, 10, 12 guys could have played off that team. Talk a little bit about the season. That was kind of the start of the conference championship role. We ended up 22-3. But talk a little bit about the season as a sophomore and coming in and contributing at that level.
Yep, and with those guys as seniors, Tim Brown, Nick Zilka, Nate Omi, Andy Healy were major cogs, obviously, in that wheel. And them to be able to be so strong and so forceful and be such a strong team, to be able to come in and help complement that was important, and to see how they prepared, the hard work that they put in, not only on the court but in the weight room, being able to see how they worked, being all really strong students, were just really great role models for me as an underclassman, to see these upperclassmen succeed in the classroom and on the court.
And so you guys get to the regional final, you have a common opponent. Well, before that, Chaska becomes a common theme as we move through this era. To play Chaska in the first round, we beat them, we get Eden Prairie at Williams Arena. And we got by that round, and then of course we draw Tartan. Number 1 team in the state, Jake Sullivan.
Yep.
You're a sophomore, you step on the floor, you're assigned to guard him.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
We were at the Pavilion for that game. Arguably the most prolific scorer in the state, who's a guard, mind you, and being 6'5", 6'6", athletic, but not used to guarding a guard, someone who has the ball in his hand, 90% of his team's possession. It was a challenge, and I just remember how quick he was, how his ability to get off a jump shot, even though I was taller and could, jump higher, his ability to rise up and get his shot off quickly. I had never played against anyone with that type of talent before in my life, so it was quite a feat, nonetheless.
And probably the state championship game right there.
Exactly, because I thought whoever won that game was gonna take home the gold, and they deserved it. Good team. Wish we could have.
And I remember right before halftime, I think you had missed a free throw or a shot, and you talked about the leadership and the quality of the kids on that team, and Tim Brown coming over and putting his arm around you and walking you into the locker room and stuff, and just how important that probably meant to you, for your confidence.
Big time. I was always my self's biggest critic, for better or for worse, and again, to have an upperclassman in that scenario wrap his arm around me and know that he didn't feel let down, or wasn't disappointed. He knew that he was going to, count on me and need me later on in that game, was very important.